Hey, can I ask you something a little uncomfortable? What would you do if fear wasn't running the show? Would you skydive? Leave a relationship that no longer fits? Hold a snake? Yes, a real one. Or maybe, just maybe, would you finally give yourself permission to be still? Today's conversation is one of the most powerful ones I've had on this podcast. I'm talking with Cheryl Wright, midlife trailblazer, breast cancer survivor, and the visionary behind Dare to Detour. Cheryl doesn't just talk about transformation, she lives it. And she's here to show you what's possible on the other side of fear. Spoiler alert, it's joy. I'm Jodi Silverman, midlife mentor, speaker, and your host here at Dare On with Jodi. I created this show to support women just like you to dare more, doubt less, and live fully during this midlife chapter. So if you're ready to rediscover your purpose, reconnect with yourself, and step into this next chapter with more courage, clarity, and yes, joy, you're in the right place. By the way, if Cheryl's story lights something up in you, if you're ready to start your own shift, I've got the perfect first step. Head to the show notes after the episode and grab my free resource, 30 Days of Doable Dares. It's a joy sparking, courage building challenge designed to help you step into something new, one small dare at a time. All right, let's get into it. Hello, Cheryl, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jody. It's so good to be here and to see you. It's been at least 2 years, I think.
It's been a long time, a long time. We'll get
Hmm.
into how we know each other in a minute, but before we do that spoiler alert for everybody, I always make people feel bad, the audience, because I know my guests so well. They're just meeting you. Share a little bit about who Cheryl Wright is and what the whole thing is around Dare to Detour.
Okay. I think this is the hardest question I'm always
I know.
asked. Like, who are you? Wow. Um, for me, I'm a woman who just turned 60 and I'm on the other side of breast cancer and divorce, and I'm actively designing a life that I love.
Hmm.
I live in Bozeman, Montana, which captured my heart when I was 18 years old. Um, but before arriving here, I lived in Oregon, New York City, San Francisco, and always returned to Montana. So I feel really grounded in this place and the big nature that surrounds me, and that's a big part of who I am.
Well,
Is
I
getting
have
out and
to
experiencing that.
I have to share. I understand how Bozeman caught your heart because I think it was like 7 years ago already. I mean,
It was.
I attended one of Cheryl's Dare to Detour retreats in Bozeman on a
Hmm.
ranch. And let me tell you, I still talk about it. It made such
Hmm.
an impact and lasting impression on me, not only the scenery and Bozeman itself and how what a gorgeous part of the country, but you and your whole
Hmm.
Dare to Detour team and facilitators and the women that came together. It was such an impactful moment for me. And I always dare our audience and the women in my Moms Who Dare group, if you've never attended a women empowerment retreat, you must say
Hmm.
yes. And that was still in my top three of best yeses I ever gave myself.
Thank you for
Yeah, of
sharing that, Jody.
course.
That means a
Yeah,
lot.
of course.
I distinctly recall you coming in one afternoon, I think, and you had just sat on your porch of the cabin you were staying in. You're like, I've never experienced quiet like
No,
this.
I cried. I cried.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
did.
was pretty moving for you.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, I could cry thinking about it. I did. I walked out of my cabin, which was stunningly beautiful. I just sat there, and I
Hmm.
never heard silence like that in my life. There was
Hmm.
nothing, and I burst into
Hmm.
tears. I did.
Yeah.
I did. It was very moving.
Mm.
Silence is golden. Silence is it moves you and wakes you up in so many ways. So many
And
ways.
it can be uncomfortable. So I'm really proud of you
Yeah.
for sticking
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
You come from a very urban environment. I think
Yes.
and having lived in New York City for 11 years, I understand what that feels like when you do find yourself in nature, in silence.
Yeah.
It and it's loud. The silence can
It
be quite
is.
loud.
It is. It is. So yeah, that was great. So yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay.
Now let's get to I like to share daring moments. And I know that there are so many daring moments when you have had to face either a choice or even fear head on. I know you've
hmm
had many of them in your life. So can you share a time when you had to face what you would call your daring moment and what helped you move through it, push through it, and what was on the other side?
Okay. I'm gonna say without hesitation that receiving a breast cancer diagnosis was the most um, pivotal moment for me in my adult life. But I want to preface that by saying that when I was 20, I dared myself to move from Oregon to New York City. And because I successfully made that move and lived in New York City for 11 years, I knew that I had the capacity to face something that felt insurmountable. And so I think we forget as we move through our lives that every lived experience is leading us to where we are in that moment.
Uh,
And I truly believe we are not given anything we can't handle. Even if in the moment of receiving a diagnosis like cancer of any kind, um, it's not insurmountable. It may not look like how you expect it to look, but it is something that you can move through. And learning how to do that for yourself is a huge gift. Um, that's the perspective I have today on the other side. I'm
okay.
this October will be 6 years since my
Oh,
diagnosis.
yay.
And December 10th, I'll be 6 years cancer free. And I have the good health to stand here and tell you that I'm on the other side of that. And so when you do get something like a cancer diagnosis, you a lot comes right before you. And for me, all of my fears kind of flooded me,
Mm.
which I didn't I mean, I had no idea how that was going to happen. Um, I was in a parking garage. Bozeman has one parking garage. I was in it. I
Okay.
know I've never parked in that spot again. Like I drive by it.
Interesting.
I know exactly where I was. And I didn't leave the parking garage for 3 hours.
Wow.
And it was cold. It was October 16th, 2019. We had already gotten a lot of snow in Montana. And I just remember sitting there kind of in a state of shock. And I didn't talk to anybody. I just was thinking to myself. Um, and in that moment, I knew that I had to kind of face cancer as being and recognize it as probably my number one fear. My mom has had breast cancer twice. She's now 86. Her mother had metastatic breast cancer. She's no longer with us. So it's something that's in my family
Mhm.
and I was well aware of. I decided though that I was going to approach it differently for myself. And I didn't leave the garage until I kind of had a sense for what I was going to do next.
Interesting.
Um, so I don't, and and it's not like I had any profound aha moment. I just knew, okay, I needed to reach out to this, and this person, and I needed to tell my family, and I needed to go home. I had
Mm.
had a whole other day planned. It just completely fell apart. And so, in that moment, when I look back, I see that taking small steps in a direction, it does not matter what direction, but taking small steps and movement towards those steps really is something that we can all practice in our day to day when we're faced with things that terrify us
Oh, I
and
love.
even things that don't. But, once you start taking action, things start to show themselves, as I've learned through this process.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and congratulations on 6 years. And I can't begin to imagine. I can only imagine from the standpoint of I've known way too many women
Right.
and men who have had cancer diagnosis. So I've been on that side of it, which is
Hmm.
is is a different type of challenge and a different
It
type of
is.
space you hold for people. But I like how you
Hmm.
said, first of all, you sat there 3 hours. That was silence. That was still. That
Hmm.
was stillness.
Hmm.
I have these 5 dares to foster connection and boost your mood and clarity and
Mm.
all that. And the fifth one is the hardest one. That's just to be. That's in
Yeah.
stillness. You put yourself in stillness. And then I like how you shared just small steps in any direction will get you where you need to be. And you can always
Right.
pivot. You can always pivot. Like you say, Dare to Detour. That's the name of
Right.
your company. You can always take a few steps and say, I'm going to take a detour and go this way next.
That's right. And I think the beauty of a detour, and you know this well, Jody, is that detours shift our perspective.
No, always.
So, when you get a shift in perspective, it allows you to find maybe a different solution or make a different connection, or meet someone who's going to take you to the next level of your journey.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, it's all kind of in the detour. And that to me is really a beautiful thing. So if you're resisting the detour, you're really missing out.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. So thank you again for sharing your story. I know that there's many, many listeners out there that are resonating and needed to hear your story. So you talk about the fear. Fear
Right.
hits, but you also talk about the fear and the joy connection.
Yes.
Talk a little bit to us about the fear and joy connection. I like that.
Okay. So, w- not in that moment in the parking garage, but shortly thereafter, I knew I was really afraid. And I asked myself, what else am I afraid of? And I
Mm,
identified my top five fears.
I love that.
Yes. So I was afraid of cancer. I was afraid of divorce. My marriage was really failing at that point. And I was afraid of that. I'm afraid of snakes. I still am uneasy around snakes, but snakes came up as like the third
Oh,
fear.
look where you live, for goodness sakes. I'm petrified of them.
So there's snakes, heights, and
Mm,
guns. So
yeah,
okay, and I realized that snakes, heights, and guns are societally based. Like I've grown up my whole life being afraid of those things because that's what society told me to do.
yeah,
Um, if you're in any kind of faith community, the snake is is used in so many ways, but it does evoke fear, right? So I decided, well, I had no choice. I had to face my fear of cancer. And I approached that first. And then I really needed to deal with my marriage. And I ultimately, at the end of 2020, left my marriage, my 32-year relationship, which was the hardest thing I had to do ever in my life. It still remains challenging for me. Um, but I'm good. I'm on the other side of that as well. The other three fears, snakes, heights, and guns, I realized that I was holding myself back in ways that weren't serving me. And so I set out to try to move through them. And the first thing I did was go skydiving.
okay.
And okay, like, whoa.
Yeah,
I found a
that's a
place.
big way to move through the heights. Go ahead.
Yes. So it wasn't like I'm going to climb a mountain.
Right.
I knew that I had to do something really dramatic. And let me just say, it's not for everybody, but the presence that I had in the moment of literally somersaulting out of this airplane and the guy that I was attached to, I did a tandem
Yeah.
dive. He held me upside down for a period of time. And when he was doing that, so we're like flying
Yes.
down,
Yes.
um, I saw the curvature of the earth.
Mm,
And I saw how insignificant we are as humans. And I felt that. And I felt safe in a way that I hadn't experienced before. I'm attached to a stranger. I felt profoundly safe. I felt a profound sense of gratitude. There was just so much that came at me. And then the parachute opened, and then we're like floating, and it's magic, right?
yeah.
And so that experience was probably the most profound experience of my life outside the birth of my children. Like you're present
Yeah.
in birth in a way that I don't
Right.
think we can do on the day to day. And I was present in the same way. And that was the gift that I gave myself. And I don't need to do it again.
Yeah.
If I'm offered the opportunity, I might accept it, but it's not something I'm going to seek out. But it really did shift things for me. And it started getting me thinking about wonder and awe and joy.
There you
I
go.
hadn't I hadn't made the connection that on the other side of fear is joy.
Yeah.
And in that experience, I made that connection. The next
Um,
thing I pursued was kind of moving through my fear of guns. And I reached out to a friend of mine who's former special ops here in southern Montana. And I explained to him that I needed to shoot a pistol. And I didn't want to do it in a gun range. I didn't want anyone else to witness me because I'm literally so afraid. And he asked me a series of questions. And, really what I wanted to know is how do I disarm a gun?
oh,
If
okay.
I'm ever confronted,
Oh,
is there a way for me to disarm the gun? Well, of course there is, but I didn't know. I'd never held a gun in my life. So, of any kind, shotgun, rifle, black, whatever, none of them.
okay.
So that experience was really interesting because it took him a while. He kept coming back. He didn't want to just like take me out into the woods and have me shoot off a gun. He kept coming back and asking me more questions and had me think about things. And then he also had a silencer that he put on this pistol because the sound is what really startles
Scary.
me.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's
It's
a
a
very
really scary
scary
sound.
sound. Yeah.
Yes. So, by the time all of this happened, it was snowing again, as it does here in Montana.
Yeah.
And we went to this place, and he set up on the back of his tailgate, the bullets, the magazine, the pistol. Then we had targets, and he taught me how to load the magazine, put the magazine in the pistol, how to take it out, all the things. And I'm like literally shaking like this.
Okay.
So my first attempt at loading the pistol, I dropped the magazine, the bullets are everywhere. And the gift that this man gave me is that he did not try to help me. He stood there and held the space and allowed me to pick the bullets up, to reload the magazine, to put the magazine into the pistol, and to calm down. And I still am filled with wonder. Like, how did he know to do that? How,
Yeah.
wow, what a gift.
Yes.
And then he showed me,
Holding space is a very it's a very difficult thing for most of us to do because when you hold
Mhm,
space for somebody, it tends to mean there's awkward silence, there's awkward moments, there's the fixer in us wants to jump out. But I've learned
mhm,
that because I have a friend who experienced some horrific grief, and
mm.
I've learned through my own grief journey of losing people I love that holding how to hold space, and it's not easy. So that
No,
was
it's not.
interesting.
It was really, and coming from someone who is like a man, like what we would, and knowing some of the things that he's been through, I just was really touched by that. And again, I had this profound feeling of gratitude come over me. I'm like,
Interesting.
whoa, okay, I can do this. And I did fire the pistol 5 times, and then I was done. I couldn't do it again. And there was a lot more bullets in that magazine. I don't even know how many bullets
But
went
you
into
did
that thing.
it.
I did it. And then he fired the gun. And then I saw what a professional can do. Um, and then he handed the pistol to me and he said, "Now I want you to disarm the gun," and took me through that. And I remember driving home saying to myself, it's it is possible for me to do that. I don't need to, but it's
Possible.
possible. It's possible. And I felt really proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the snake thing. So then by
Oh
the end
God.
of
I'm gonna have
2020,
nightmares after this story. Go ahead.
but listen, 2020, I moved through all five fears, Jody: breast cancer, divorce,
Yeah, that's a lot in
heights,
1 year, but
guns.
okay. I'm
And then
starting to sweat already thinking about
I
the
know,
snake.
me too,
Okay.
because I
Okay.
still really am
Okay.
uneasy around them. But honestly, I decided in that moment, driving home after firing off this pistol, I don't need to deal with the snakes. I'm good. I just did some pretty big things. I'm good. And so the next week I was at a cocktail party and I was sitting leaning against a bookcase, really engaged in this conversation. And I was telling the women, it was a group of women, about shooting this pistol and moving through my fears and how snake was one of my fears. And the hostess was like, looking around her, and she's, "Oh, do you want to hold Boots?" And I'm thinking Boots is her cat, like for comfort.
Right, right, right.
And I said, sure, I'd love to hold Boots. And
Oh no.
Jody, she reaches above me,
Oh God.
and a 6 foot python was curled up in the bookcase right behind me.
I think I would have had a heart attack. Go ahead.
And
If you're just
I had been
listening to
sitting,
this episode, this would be the time to go over to YouTube and watch it.
I mean, I I had been sitting with the snake the whole night and had no idea.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
So then she brings the snake out. It's beautiful. It's a python.
Hmm.
Their
Yeah,
their
they
skin
are
is
pretty.
they're
Yeah.
they're beautiful. And she hands the snake to me, and it kind of put its head right here. And I just kind of she was just keep looking at its skin, and I kept looking at its skin. I don't know how long I held the snake, longer than a minute, and it wrapped around my arm and it rested its head right here. It rested its head. And then I was done. And did you know
Wow.
that snakes purr?
No.
Yes, they purr. If they like the person, they really purr. And of
Okay.
course, my friend holds the snake and it's purring with her. And I was
Oh.
in awe,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
in awe. So that is when I started to realize, okay, on the other side of my fears are moments of wonder, awe, and joy. And I want more of that.
Love
And
that.
do I have to be afraid and move through a fear in order to experience those really powerful emotions?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. Um, what I did, I got really curious about the science, the neurological science behind fear, and have learned, and there's several studies. There's a big one out of the University of Wisconsin at Madison around the neurological pathways in which we process fear. They're the same in which we process wonder, joy, and awe.
Yeah.
And you cannot be in a state of fear and experience any of those wonder, joy, or awe. You can't, you simply cannot. It's the same pathway in your brain. And so when you start to seek out moments that give you awe or joy or wonder, because I think they're very distinct, but they all come together.
Yes, they do.
Um,
I would agree.
yes, when you start to seek those moments out, you're training your brain to move away from fear.
Yeah.
So, actually, I've never shared this story in the context of this discussion, but there was a woman who worked for me in New York. I worked at American Express and she was on my team and she didn't know how to swim or drive. She grew up in New York City and she'd never learned how to do any of those two things. And she was terrified. And I needed her to travel for me and she couldn't rent a car and get around. And this is way before Uber and taxis were not always a thing. And so we decided that she was going to learn how to do both of those things in that year. And I remember she was taking swimming lessons on the the YMCA in the Upper West Side. And I went I went swimming with her one day. And she came up to me and she goes, "This is so fun. I love this so much.
Yeah.
Thank you." And that, I mean, I've lost touch with that woman. I don't know where she is,
Yeah.
but she also learned how to drive. She didn't find driving fun at all, but she became, proficient enough that she could actually drive. I
Right.
just think, you know, we grow up being afraid of these things,
We
and then
do.
when you move through it and you can experience that sense of
Yeah.
accomplishment and then fun or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, it's pretty profound.
It is.
So that's what I've kind of spent my time, my free time. I've just been really curious about it all.
I love that. I
Um,
love that because I see that if you can move through fear, you can have a sense of profound pride in yourself and
yes.
gratitude that you were able to do it. And then you experience the wonder and the awe of
Hmm.
it, which is joy. I love all that.
Yes.
I love it. Love
Yes.
it. All right. So we're nearing the end of our episode. I do want to talk about, though, in about 2 minutes or less, you talk
Yes.
about implementing a joy practice.
Okay. Yes.
Can that be the dare? Maybe that's the dare.
I think this is the dare.
Okay,
This
this is
is
your
the
dare,
dare.
everybody.
Yes. I dare you to track 30 days of joy. And I discovered a woman. Her name is Alex L. She's a young woman based in, she's in Atlanta, but she also spends a lot of time in Brooklyn. And she has her whole Substack is about joy.
Oh,
And she's a beautiful writer. And I read one of her books when I was going through my recovery from cancer, and really have a lot of respect for someone who's so much younger than me. And I loved her perspective. And then I just started following her on Substack, and this is her practice, but I have adopted it. So, giving full credit to Alex L.
yep.
Um, you start small, just like I said, start small. I did it intuitively, but I didn't know.
Right.
But it's a thing. So, look for one steady joy each day, a song, a scent, a sentence that settles you.
Hmm.
Is
Love
it
that.
holding that mug of coffee in the morning and just really experiencing that?
Yeah.
Then you have to name it. So you start small, you name it. When you feel a glimmer of joy, say it out loud, write it down. Don't let it go unnoticed.
I love that.
Then you build rituals. Give joy a place to return to. Light a candle. Savor your morning coffee. Wash your face. Every night I wash my face. I basically wash the day off, and I've ritualized that
Yeah,
practice,
I have too.
right? And lighting candles really
Oh,
do help us pause. Whatever your
of
spiritual practice is, you can light a candle for at any point during the day.
course.
And then she says, let it evolve. Your anchor may shift. Stay curious about what's working for you in the moment.
Oh, I love this.
And then don't wait. Don't save joy for after the to-do list or after healing. Don't wait. Let it live in real time, no matter how messy.
What a
So get
great.
like on your calendar,
Yeah.
in your planner, just note down. Like today, I'm gonna write down that I got to spend some time with you, Jody, and it's been a
Oh,
while,
it
and
has
it's
been
so
a long time. Yeah,
nice,
it is nice. And this was,
right?
yeah, it was joyful. It was a sense of awe, wonderment, and joy to connect with you again, Cheryl. So
Yes,
it's a perfect dare, a perfect way
that's
to
my
end
dare.
the episode. I love the dare. We will outline it in the show notes below so everybody can have it. And I'm just so grateful for you saying yes to being on the show again, because you were part of I think our very first season.
I think so too.
Yeah, when we were called Beyond Empty Nest, you were there. So we'll share that too. And I just,
Okay.
wish you continued success in your health and in your joy journey and in life and in all the detours you dare to take. I know they'll be
Thank you,
great.
Jody. Thank you. It's been great to be here. I really appreciate it.
Okay, friend, take a deep breath. That was a lot, right? If there's one thing I hope you walked away with today, it's this. Joy isn't reserved for people who aren't afraid. Joy is what you find when you say yes anyway. Yes to the skydive, yes to the silence, yes to being right where you are. You don't have to leap out of a plane or face down a python to experience that kind of shift. But you do have to give yourself permission to explore what lights you up. And if travel happens to be one of those things that sparks joy for you, then I've got the perfect next step. Head to the show notes and check out Cheryl's Dare Guides community. It's all about curated, intentional travel that supports your growth, joy, and wonder in midlife. She is your guide for detouring into something beautiful. Until next time, Daryl.